Hi, I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for Katie Chats at the Performing Arts Lodge in downtown Toronto. I'm here with Lyon from Telefilm Canada. What exactly is PAL for those who may not know yet?
Well, PAL is the Performing Arts Lodge of Toronto, and there are lodges in other cities in Canada. The Toronto Lodge is located on the Esplanade. It's a building with about 210 apartments, so there's about 250 people. Many of them are retired, most of them are older, and the entire building is a showbiz building. So actors, directors, dancers, stage managers, musicians, producers, writers, the whole gamut of the performing arts. And 70% of our apartments are rent geared to income, and the other 30% are market rates. And we're in the best location. We're in the first block, just beside the St. Lawrence Market.
And what makes Louise Petra's piano such a perfect donation for this wonderful building?
Well, Louise was so generous in donating her piano. She had it for 23 years. It's a 7-foot Schiedmeyer semi-concert grand piano. It's a very valuable, very beautiful piano, the type of thing that a charitable institution such as PAL could never be able to afford on its own. And it's going to be enjoyed by all of the 250 residents plus friends, and we have shows. The residents really enjoy entertaining themselves and each other and entertaining guests, and this is something that will be used on a daily basis, I hope, for the next 30 years.
You've been very integral in this whole process of getting the piano here at PAL. Tell me a little bit about how it came to be.
Well, I'm vice president of the board of directors of PAL. It's a charitable corporation, and we have, by the way, associated chapters across Canada as a national association, and some cities are just forming their building. We have our building here in downtown Toronto, right almost next door to the St. Lawrence Market. It's a beautiful location. The building is filled with mostly retired showbiz people, but often the people are kind of semi-retired, so there's a lot of people working in their chosen careers, but just mostly not full-time. And I really love it. We needed a new piano because the old piano, the lower register keys just were not resonating properly, and it was not possible to fix it up to a concert standard. It was a fine piano for somebody's house, but not for the use that we put it to here, which is essentially entertaining not only each other, but entertaining the public. So we're in a position of needing to find a grand piano. And
you volunteered?
Well, I foolishly volunteered. I knew that we could not afford to buy one, and I foolishly volunteered to find one. So I felt that I could do it because I'm a very optimistic person. And I started by calling everybody I knew who was kind of well-placed in the cultural community, and some of my wealthier friends as well. And everyone was very nice, but nobody knew where I could find a grand piano without paying for it. So I was at a point where I was feeling a bit dejected that perhaps I'd taken on a bit of a foolish assignment. In the middle of all this, I woke up one morning to read my morning newspaper to find that two fellows had walked into the Toronto General Hospital and they stole the grand piano from the hospital. And then I had dozens of calls from people asking if it was me. So this was kind of amusing, but in a way not that amusing.
Is this your confession?
No, it's not a confession, although we did find subsequently through newspaper reports that the culprit actually is an actor. So that's a bit of a funny coda to the story. So it got to be now late August, so very recently, but the dog days of summer, it was very hot. I was feeling very sweaty and casual and not shaved and shorts and t-shirt. I was on the way to PetSmart because I have 2 dogs and a cat, and I look and I realize every Saturday for 20 years I've been passing a store called Robert Lowry Piano Experts. There's a big sign saying Canada's Piano Store, and I had never been in that store. So I figured, well, I'm looking for a piano, I guess I'll go in the piano store. And it only kind of dawned on me after I entered the store how foolish really it was to go into a piano store to ask for a free grand piano.
So much chutzpah.
So much chutzpah is exactly the right word for it. I met there Robert Lowry, who's the proprietor, and it turned out that he knows all about PAL. And in fact, unbeknownst to me, on at least 2 occasions, he had loaned a piano from his shop for the purpose of fundraising events. And he told me that, coincidentally, he was going to be on TV that coming Thursday on a show called Storage Wars, the Canadian version, and it was the premiere. And I said, well, why are you going to be on this show? He said, well, Dan, you're not going to believe this, but the first episode, they opened up an abandoned storage locker and they found a baby grand piano. Would you like to see it? So I said, of course I'd like to see it. He was storing the piano upstairs, where it turns out in his store he has all his treasures, including pianos valued at well over $100,000. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's almost like a piano museum. This piano was painted red, and it was signed by one of the performers in the Storage Wars show. And together with Robert, we found ourselves talking about this great media story where an old abandoned piano suddenly finds a new home among over 200 performers and is loved for the rest of its life. And it's like a fairy tale. Now, what I did then is I had to get one of the musicians from PAL to come up and play the piano to make sure it was suitable, and also to get Robert to come down to our performance space, which is where we are right now, look at the space, and also decide whether the red piano, I call it because it was red, whether it was suitable. And by the way, the red piano reminded me of one of my favorite Canadian movies called The Red Violin, which is a violin passed from hand to hand through various generations. So I found myself thinking that maybe the red piano someday could be the subject of a movie as well. Anyway, as it turned out, there was a consensus that this red piano was not suitable for our needs. It was too small, it played a little too brightly, and it just was not going to serve the long-term needs of PAL. So I went from feeling so elated to feeling completely dejected. But I didn't have much time to be dejected, because on the same night of the day that Mr. Lowry came to visit PAL, he sent me an email saying, Dan, you're not going to believe what happened today, so please just read the email chain below. The email chain was between Louise and Robert, where Louise was seeking advice. What should I do with my grand piano? It's in my house and I'm moving to a condo, and I need a digital piano that will fit more nicely into my condo. Robert wrote her back saying, I just met this guy. His name is Dan Lyon. He's in the film industry.
He's got 2 dogs.
He's got
and a cat.
two dogs and a cat. That's right. He seems like a nice enough guy. I don't really know. And she kindly invited me to come and visit her at her country house in Alliston, where I went on a Thursday. I brought with me Alan Cohen, who is a professional pianist. Alan played jazz. He played show tunes. Louise was crying, not out of sadness, but out of happiness, because Alan played so beautifully, and she realized at that moment that PAL was the right place for her piano. And Louise is here with us tonight. We had a beautiful celebration where the residents performed. We had gorgeous piano playing, beautiful singing, a few tributes and plaques, and a few little gifts, and the great spirit in the spirit of PAL and the spirit of music and showbiz, and we've had so much fun tonight.
And seeing all these wonderful performers up there tonight, taking advantage of the piano, how has that reinforced for you that this is the right home for it?
Oh, I'm absolutely sure. I've been speaking to some of the residents who did not perform tonight, and it turns out we have more pianists in this building than I ever knew, and everyone wants a chance to play the piano. People who don't play would like the chance to sing while somebody else plays the piano. We had such a wonderful spirit in the room, and hearing how great the piano sounds in this room is something that is just incredibly gratifying. And I've had a lot of thank yous. Of course, the thank yous should not really be directed at me. It's really a thank you to Louise Petra for her generosity.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on helping to connect these wonderful people together. And best of luck with all of your duties here at PAL and at Telefilm as well.
Thank you very much, Katie. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, you too. I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for Katie Chats at PAL in downtown Toronto.
Ready? Everybody ready? Yeah! Ready! I love a piano. I love a piano. I love to hear somebody play. I'm on a piano, a grand piano. It simply carries me away. You can keep your fiddle and your bow. Give me a Piano. Simon upright, or high tone, baby Everybody, stay around, enjoy, mingle, chat, and enjoy the food and the libation, and just keep this evening going. Thank you so much for coming.